Well, hello again, Mr. Lowry, on this fine Tuesday evening.
Well, I will tell you, the pollen is falling. There's a sheen on the water out there, and that only means one thing. The white perch, the brim, they're all getting up there close to the bank, which I know you don't fish for those little old fish. You try to go for those that eat those fish, right?
Exactly correct, and you are right about the pollen. It is everywhere. But the fishing's been pretty good. Although I did go to Lake Darbone today up at Farmerville, and caught a fish and had a big fish on a frog, and but other than that, we didn't do too hot. Of course, I hadn't been over there in about once or twice in 20 years. So anyway, we'll see.
Yeah, things are so bad. There's people, I mean, literally, there's people in Bossier having allergies and going back to work for Shreveport.
Hey, not just that. Apparently, some Bossier kids are having sex buffets at the parish libraries. Did you know that?
Uh,
Oh,
sex
excuse.
sex buffets. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, not as in like Jimmy Buffett. Sex buffet. So let me pronounce that correctly. Yeah,
Oh, we're
apparently
using
some
French. We're using French tonight. I see.
a
Okay.
little French, oui, oui. So I hadn't even read this whole article, but Jeff Sadow just released this a couple of hours ago, and so this should be an interesting read, because of course it involves the Bossier Libraries and the Bossier Parish Police Jury, and well, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, that's an interesting thing. I did come across an audit where the auditor, what's that guy's name? The same one for the Cypress District. I mean, his name's everywhere. It's like he does any government entity. He does all their audits. I mean, it's
Oh,
almost.
yeah, his reputation is indisputable, or whatever. Anyway, I'm not thinking clearly tonight, but yeah, as a matter of fact, the Cypress District wouldn't let him speak publicly at any more meetings after we highlighted one of the videos where he said he told the Cypress District this and told them that, and they basically weren't listening or something to that effect. Anyway, it's been a long day. I've been up since 4 o'clock.
Well, that's not my fault, but I will say that. Well, anyway. So I think we just need to go on and get the countdown, get it out of the way. We got a big show tonight. I think we're going to take a walk around the countryside today a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've got taxes to talk about, more taxes, and it's just like doubling the tax rate in Haughton, apparently. And we're going to talk about water in Haughton. What's up with Haughton?
Oh, now wait
And
a minute. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now, you
let me put
said
on the
water.
brakes.
You said water in Haughton. Now, I want to make a little distinction. There's downtown Haughton, and there's
Hmm.
that area between downtown Haughton and Bossier City, and a lot of people don't describe that as H Town. So it's technically not Haughton Water.
Well,
That's,
I've never been real clear. Well, yeah, what is it? Cypress Village? Is that the name of it?
no, it's not
Oh,
Cypress Village. It's the
see, I
village
told you.
water
The
system.
like the village people,
It's,
except the village water system. Okay.
yeah, it's the village people.
Okay. See, I've got everything all bumfuzzled tonight. Well, I've never understood the proper boundaries and what is Haughton and what isn't Haughton anyway. But did you know we're also going to talk about killing dogs tonight?
And not just any dogs. I think, aren't these some rogue parish dogs that maybe were brought to Bossier? Is that
Yeah, some
accurate?
about that. We're going to look at a post that one of the local vets, Dr. Snyder, made. And anyway, talk about a dog named Uma. We actually know the name of this dog. And apparently, well, Bossier Animal Control and the mayor like to kill dogs.
Oh
Apparently.
boy. Well,
Apparently.
I say we go to break, we come back, and we hit all these topics with a vengeance.
Sounds like a plan to me. All right, folks, you know the drill. I'm going to hit the countdown button here in just a couple of seconds. That'll give us about 2.5 or 3 minutes of countdowns and all that good stuff. That gives you time to go make some popcorn real quick, grab you a stiff drink, and we will be right back with the show, and we will dive right into all of the above and more. Here we go.
Feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
In all honesty, we try to lay low a little bit because of the fear that we would not be able to camp there.
And I titled it "A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys."
Hello, everybody. I don't think I've ever done a video before on here, but yeah, I wanted to tell y'all what frustrates me a little bit about permits.
The cockroach of the week is, drumroll please, Allie Feaster Smith.
We can't be apathetic about what's going on in our state. We have to all pull up our bootstraps and get on top of this. So you're right. There's a problem out there. I mean, and man, you can see it everywhere.
Well, look, we have allowed government to become our wherewithal to everything.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
You're about to be killed by a Zamboni, or you're gonna die in 5 minutes.
This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by David B. Womack for all your contracting and construction needs. The Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 23 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting is an IWTP customized training provider with over 25 years of success to show for it. Call them for a free consultation today. Pelican Training and Consulting matches employers with 50-plus employees with training dollars. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And the many supporters, donations, and folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go again. Another week, and you know what? I didn't even check to make sure. Can everybody on Facebook hear our audio? I assume we're live because we have Facebook folks watching.
Yeah, and I see that we've got quite a few folks on some of the other platforms that are tuned in. And so you Facebook folks, you're not going to be able to see their comments. And, I don't think they can see theirs, but either way, we can see them.
Yeah, they can't see the cross between them unless I pull them up on the screen. And folks, we welcome any and all comments, even if you don't agree with us, in case you're new to the show and don't know how it works. Hey, thank you there, Ruth Pope Johnston. Audio is good. That's excellent. So the way this works is y'all comment, and if we see good comments and can catch them in time, I'll put them up on the screen as we go along. So that's the basics of how this show works. It's almost, Duke, no holds barred. Almost.
Yeah, I would say that. I mean, we have had to do a little bit of censorship in the past, but censorship, that bad word, censorship. Have we ever really done any censorship? No, I don't think we have.
I don't think so. I don't think we've even blocked anybody yet. Maybe, I think I did block a YouTube deal that was obviously a spammer, but I mean, legitimate comments and posts, no, I don't think we have. Thank you, Debbie Walker. She says she can hear us perfectly. My mom is out there watching, and she gave us a thumbs up, so glad to have all of y'all watching.
Yeah. So where are we going to go first with this, discussion on politics and local government and the high achievers in our government and maybe even the low achievers. And are we going to have we talked about it. We got to get back to a cockroach of the week. And how are we going to do that?
Yeah, we do. As a matter of fact, we need to, well, we just got to pick somebody. We have to set our criteria again.
Well,
And we need to kick,
It's been so
yeah.
long, a lot of people watching may not even know what that is, Rex.
Well, they may. I tell you what. I'm going to switch screens. Hold on a second. Let me do some little behind the scenes stuff real quick, and get you back up on camera here.
Now, people who watch regularly, they're probably noticing that I am shotgunning some kind of snack in my mouth
Hmm.
while I'm doing this show.
Well, why would that be?
The wife is out of the house. She's not here.
Oh, so
She won't
you're eating gas station snacks and whatever else you can get your hands on, huh?
she won't come in here and slap me on the side of the head while we're talking to everybody on the show.
Well, hey, that's a good thing. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up on the screen. This was apparently the last cockroach of the week we had way back when, and I still have this screen saved. So we just want to show everybody and let you know that the cockroach of the week, y'all be thinking about this. The cockroach of the week can be both in a positive, or it could be, I guess I should say either instead of both, either in a positive or in a negative light. So it could be somebody that does something really good that we all think is great, and we make them the cockroach out of the week. And if they do get it for a positive thing, we'll send them a coffee mug. But on the other hand, it could be cockroach of the week because they do something asinine and stupid. And, Tommy signed the Bossier term limits deal. I got to give him credit where credit's due. But this deal about the killing of the dogs, I mean, it's just one thing after another.
Now, wait a minute. On the killing of the dogs, I mean, do we want to jump off in the middle of the killing of the dogs right out of the gate? Because now you had some dialogue. I didn't get to see it, but there was apparently some Facebook social media exchanges pertaining to, is it Uma?
Uma.
Is it
Uma the
Uma
dog.
the dog,
Yeah.
right. And, Dr. Snyder, as I understand, who's been a huge advocate, for, animals, he finally, I think he let it, if I understand, I hadn't even seen it, but I think he let it rip on social media, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Well, he put a post up and got a bunch of commentary. Let me see if I can get this pulled up here.
Well,
Give me just a second.
wait a minute. Maybe
All right.
before we pull that up, I
Mhm.
mean, because you had some dialogue with him and he said that he wanted to come on the show,
Yeah, he
but
did.
but neither you nor I have his phone number. We messaged him, I think, or maybe we had a miscommunication. But if anyone knows him and he wants to come on the show, we can get him on the show right now to come in and talk about it.
Yeah,
Right?
and I got to take responsibility. Part of it's my fault. I commented to one of his replied to one of his comments as Bossier Watch and said, "Hey, if you'd like to come on the show, you're more than welcome to discuss this." And sometimes you don't see all the notifications on Facebook, and somehow I overlooked that he did respond that he would like to come on and explain. I didn't notice that till about 10 minutes before the show started tonight. So that's kind of my fault. So, Dr. Snyder, if you're watching or anybody knows Dr. Snyder has his cell phone number or whatever, text him and tell him to comment in the show, and we'll get him on the show if he would like to come on and discuss that whole situation.
Yeah. So, do we want to kind of click pause to just give him a little bit of time on that subject of whether he wants to come on or not, or do we want to roll with it?
Well, Shannon Coleman says the whole show should be about what is going on in Bossier with dogs and animals. Well, that may be true, Shannon. It's pretty easy. Bossier Animal Control just likes to kill them, apparently. So I hate to laugh about it. It's not a funny subject, and I know a lot of people are upset about this. Yeah, Susan Fant Votow, I hope I said that correctly, says she's trying to reach him. Okay, so let's talk about the tax, and then we're going to get to the Bossier Animal Control. What do you say about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, while I agree with that commenter, let me see, who was it? Shannon Coleman. While I agree, the animals is an important subject. Taxes are an important subject as well, too. And 100% increase in taxes is definitely something that people should talk about. Wouldn't you
Yeah.
agree?
Well, and as I understand it, I've not done the math on it yet. So a concerned Bossier watcher and viewer reached out and said, "Hey, are you aware of what's going on with the Haughton tax rate?" I was like, "What? Haughton's got a tax millage coming up on the ballot, and apparently it's in what, 2 weeks? Did we
March
look that up?
25th.
It's
March
March the
25th.
25th. Did you know, Haughton, that you have a ballot initiative or whatever, anyway, proposal on the ballot coming up, and you're supposed to vote to, I think it's more than double the millage rate on property taxes in the town of Haughton because, well, they apparently need some new cop cars and some shiny new fire trucks with nice sirens. No offense to all you firemen guys out there, or ex-firemen guys, whatever.
Uh, I see in the comments, someone saying, what number does Dr. Snyder need to call? Now, how are we going to set that up?
Well, I mean, we can post my number. It's all over the interwebs anyway. Tell Dr. Snyder, tell him to send Bossier Watch a Facebook message. And I'll be sitting here kind of watching, and I will respond. So tell Dr. Snyder to just send a Facebook message to Bossier Watch. I'll text the, I'll send him my phone number or whatever, doesn't matter, and we'll get him on the show. So send Bossier Watch a Facebook message. We want to try to make this as easy as possible.
Yeah, so Haughton is having this tax increase. It's going to right there, and we'll show the graph here in just a minute. They're currently at around, I think, 14 mills is what the total, 13 or 14 mills, and it's going to increase to 27 mills if this passes.
Oh, hello. That sounds familiar, from something we went through a couple of years ago. We won't get into all that debacle, but that's a pretty good increase. That's pretty substantial. And look, what a lot of you folks don't realize, and Duke, I may be skipping in the notes here a little bit, so pause me, put the brakes on whenever. But this isn't just, it's a property tax, but that not only covers homeowners, it covers business owners. I think do they factor that tax in on inventory and everything, just like they were going to do the property millage on the school board deal?
Yeah, I think so. But, here's the rub for me, Rex. The rub for me is it's always, when we run these millages out here, it's always using the wedge against the voter. And do you know what the wedge is against the voter? I know you know, but I guess I'm saying it rhetorically. You know what the wedge is that's always used against the voter?
Gosh, Duke, I don't.
It's public safety. It's your
Oh,
firemen and policemen. They are
They're-
the tool of politicians.
and they tug at the heartstrings. We got to support our firemen and first responders and police, and and look, I get it. We do. They need all the support they can get. They need all the tools that they can get to do their jobs properly. I get it. So I'm saying that a little facetiously, but yeah, they always tug at the heartstrings when they want to do this sort of thing.
Yeah, so let me set the stage here a little bit because I think there's probably background that folks need to understand in Haughton and this tax increase. If you live in Haughton, you probably know who your mayor is. Your mayor is Kim Gaspard. Kim Gaspard is a former Bossier Parish school system employee. He was a coach, and I understand he identifies as a Republican. You also have a council that, as I understand it, is a majority Republican council. In fact, it may be they're all Republican. I mean, I didn't check it. I was told that it was, but I'm not 100% sure. So the concerned citizen that watches our show that checked in with you actually sent an image in of this picture right here, and here's how they were using it.
Oh,
Vote
we
yes
must.
to public safety.
Well, I would like to know how many folks from the Haughton area that are watching tonight, how many of you have seen the sign, and how many of you support or think you support this millage, because it's going to be on the ballot March the 25th. This Louisiana Common Sense Fund, PAC? Didn't you just mention that they were all Republicans on the
I
Haughton
don't.
Council?
I did, and it's
Okay.
interesting that you say that. So we got this picture sent in, and Rex, is what we do. I went to research and say, okay, who is this Common Sense Fun Pack or whatever? Who the heck is this? So I went to doing a little research, and voila, there it is, the Common Sense Fund. And so started looking, and well, who are these people? It's obviously some pack out of Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to looking at generally these packs, and this to be the case. Generally, these packs, they have an ideology. They're either limited government, big government. They're either leftist or conservative, or they're either Democrat or Republican. They kind of they have a niche that they fill. And
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that my observation was that this pack generally supports Democrat, big government type stuff.
Right.
That's just where they fall. I'm not making a judgment either way, one way or the other, but that's where they
Mm-hmm.
fall. That's my observation.
Mm-hmm.
So the question becomes, who, if somebody engaged this pack to start promoting this tax increase, who possibly, you see there, the donation of $1,500, who was doing that? Who's wanting to raise taxes in Haughton
Right.
and get this done?
Yeah. Whoever could that be? Let's see. Funds on hand. I'm just scanning through the PDF file here real quick. Da 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 da. Standard stuff. Dr. Snyder. All right. I tell you what. Here. I know what. Hold on just a second, Duke. All right. Tell Dr. Snyder this number that's up on the screen, 318-995-4335. Tell him to text that number. And I will just regular text message, and I will send him back a link to come on to the show. Tell him he can come on via computer or through his iPhone or even an Android phone or through his computer if he has a mic and camera type setup or whatever. If not, we'll get him on. We'll just get him on by voice if we have to.
Yeah. All right. So, we go to look this up, and it's Neil Irwin. And a lot of people may not realize who Neil Irwin is. Well, Neil Irwin is the city attorney for the town of Haughton, Rex.
Oh, really? This is getting more interesting by the minute. There we go. Neil Irwin.
Now, Neil Irwin also, and you may remember this, and some of our Bossier Watch viewers may remember this, a long time ago, we sent some public information requests to the city of Bossier.
Mm-hmm.
And those public information requests were denied by the city of Bossier. And specifically, what we wanted was the billing and rates of the Neil Irwin law firm to the city of Bossier regarding the lawsuit pertaining to Link Coleman and the development down there on the parkway.
Yeah, that whole debacle.
Yeah. So Neil Irwin is somebody who has been around, but what's more interesting is the fact that he, is donating the money to a Democrat PAC to campaign for 100% tax increase, against the citizens of Haughton.
Oh, the irony.
Using the firemen and policemen as the wedge against the public.
So, and I want to add in again and remind everybody, by an all Republican town or city council or whatever they have there in the good town of Haughton.
And I'm thinking that I read somewhere that Travis Morehart, isn't that his name, Travis
Yes,
Morehart?
Travis Morehart. I'm glad. Yeah,
That's it.
that's him. Beyond
I
reproach.
think, beyond reproach, I think maybe that guy is also the CPA guy out there for the town of Haughton, and all the, the Cypress District, Bossier City, the police jury, the port. I mean, the guys everywhere. It's like a niche of all these people that are like just embedded in this government thing, and it's the same names that keep popping up and popping up and popping up. So
I'm listening. I'm trying to text Dr. Snyder while you're explaining. So.
Yeah, do that. So here's the thing. It, is the ask, wrong? It may be that, maybe this is an appropriate expenditure of taxpayer dollars. Maybe this is appropriate,
Maybe so.
because
Yeah.
their public safety is an important factor in local government. It's something that you need. It's arguably, the safety and defense of the citizens are the first priority of government in everything. Everything else comes after that. So what exactly is the ask? What are, they're putting on the ballot? What is it? Well, I'm told, by the contact that they're wanting to buy a $750,000 brand new fire truck. I'm told the city has 10 full-time firefighters and 10 part-time firefighters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm told that they just this year already, they've bought 4 brand new patrol cars, and they already have a total of 15 cars and 2 motorcycles.
Wait, 15 cars in Haughton?
15 cars, yes.
Now, look, I don't know how many police officers it takes to staff, per capita or whatever, but that seems a little excessive. Any of our police or friends watching might chime in on that a little bit. Does 15 cars sound excessive? I don't know how many officers Haughton has.
Well, that is a great question. I mean, and you got to say it's relative to the size of the city, the amount of crime, and all that. And then at the end of the day, what exactly is the citizens or the public? I mean, do they want a cop on every single street? Yeah, I guess we would all like that, to have a cop 24 hours a day sitting on every corner of our street. But can we all afford that? Can the citizens of Haughton afford that? I don't know.
Sure, they can, Duke.
So again, cut one. What exactly is the ask?
Yeah, give me a second. Let me switch over screens. Let's see. Let's get rid of that thing and let's pull this in and, well, let's see what it is. So I'll read it real quick for those of you watching or those of you listening to the podcast version or, just listening along with your phone. Anyway, it says this is the Town of Haughton Proposition Millage. Shall the town of Haughton, state of Louisiana, the town, be authorized to levy and collect a special tax of 14 46/100 14.46 mils on all property subject to taxation in the town, an estimated $413,932 reasonably expected at this time to be collected from the levy of the tax for an entire year for a period of 15 years. Wow. It's going to be on the books for 15 years, beginning in 2023 and ending with the year 2037, of which 7 7.36 mils will be allocated to the Haughton Fire Department and 7 1/10, 7.1 mils to the Haughton Police Department for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, improving, maintaining, operating, and or supplementing public safety, protection, and emergency medical service facilities, vehicles and equipment, including both movable and immovable property, blah, 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 that are to be used for public safety, protection, and on all purposes incidental thereto.
Now, and all purposes incidental thereto. I'm wondering, what could I, if I use my imagination, fit into and all purposes incidental thereto? What could I include with that?
That leaves it pretty darn open-ended.
That's very, very wide open. So I would contend this actually isn't for a fire truck and police cars. I, I I don't think that's what this is.
Not, or at least not just. I'll give them a little bit of maybe credit where credit's due if they're going to double the taxes on everybody. I mean, look, people, we're talking about over 100% tax increase.
So look, Rex, I'm a H-Town guy. Graduated out there, Haughton High School. Grew up out there. I mean, lived out there. I mean, I guess up until the early '90s. Um, I can tell you, I remember when there was only one, maybe two officers out there. Chief Caskey, Buddy Caskey's daddy, was the chief of police out there. And, it got me to thinking, well, what was the population then as compared to now? Has Halton grown so much that it's got to have 13 full-time officers? It's got a full-time fire department, and it didn't have a full-time fire department back then. So surely the population has expanded so much so that that's got to be the case. It's got to be the situation, right?
Well, yeah, it must be. I mean, they're expanding. They need more protection, more toys and tools and things to work with, right?
Yeah. Well, if you share my screen, let's look and see exactly what it is.
Let's see here. Let's see. All right, you're gonna have to. All right, give me a second and let me reset this so it looks right. Let's see here. Custom. All right, something is wrong. Maybe you'll have to hold on. Technical. Here we go. All right, let's try this. There we go. Hit the right button. Okay, there you go.
All right. So in the early '90s, you can see the population hung right there around 2,000 people. So, had a couple of police officers in the early '90s, and then around 2000, you see the population jump from 2 to 3,000. But interestingly, when you get way up here to almost 2020, you see the population jumped another 1,000 plus, literally in 1 year. It jumps by
Yeah.
almost 1,000 people.
That's
I
a
was
pretty good leap.
I was told that jump was due to them annexing property outside the city and bringing it into the city. So is that a population that equates to having 13 officers and uh full-time fire department? And I would also contend, I mean, what does having a 27 mil rate, how does that compare to all the other municipalities? How does that shake out?
Well, I mean, surely they're not higher than Bossier.
um Yeah, they are, Rex. In fact,
Wow.
in cut 9, I actually did a little checking because I wanted to see,
Hmm.
is this egregious? Is it not egregious? Where exactly does this thing land as far as in comparison to all the other municipalities around here?
Okay, let me see if I can zoom that up. All right.
If this come from the Caddo tax assessor, and if you scroll down to the bottom, pull it all the way down to the bottom. Well, let's just look and zoom in right there.
Yeah.
City of
Well.
Shreveport comes in at 29.
Mm-hmm.
So scroll down one little more there. City of Bossier, 2258. Vivian, 2213. Rodessa, 6. Mooringsport, 10. Oil City, 22. Blanchard, 10. Greenwood, 9. We even got another page of various other cities, like including Minden and Sarepta and all those. But in result, if this millage passes, the city of Haughton is going to have the second highest millage rate, only second to the city of Shreveport.
Wow. So that they're going to have to be between 22 and a half and 29 mils total.
to get down at the average, but they're jumping clean up to 27. I mean, I don't know why they held back. They should have just went ahead and went for the title and went for 30 straight up.
Yeah, no kidding. And we say that kind of in jest a little bit.
But here's the thing: this is all a bunch of Republicans out there. In
Well, but
fact,
they hired a Democratic PAC. Maybe they're not as Republican as we think they are, but surely some of them were a little bit opposed to this, right?
well, as I understand it, it unanimously passed by all these Republicans to go on the ballot. I mean,
Wait a minute. Every one of them voted to put it on the ballot. Nobody opposed it.
Every one of them, as I understand it, voted to put it on the ballot. All a bunch of Republicans out there voting to, double your taxes and arguably try to compete with, I mean, let's just call it what it is. While Shreveport has a Republican mayor now, but compete with, the most Democrat city in Northwest Louisiana in Shreveport. Haughton just jumped right there to the top with all of them. And I know Haughton's infrastructure, their water lines, their water system or whatever, it's not where it should be. I mean, it's not. And you're going to jump to the highest millage rate almost in Northwest Louisiana, and you don't have your infrastructure in order.
Well, that's
Something's going on out there in Haughton, and it ain't good.
Yeah, apparently they didn't learn their lesson from the Bossier Parish School Board debacle back in what was that, 2019, 2019 I think it was. But all right, so let's narrow this down and summarize this though. When is this going to be on the ballot? I mean, surely we've got a month or two, right?
Nope. You got a couple of weeks. March 25th. What's the day?
That's even less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, you got like 11 days.
All right, folks. You need to sound the alarm, all of you that are from Haughton, and that this may affect. Or if you have friends in Haughton, you need to let them know that there is a drastic tax increase on the ballot. It's going to basically double the tax millage rate in the town of Haughton, and they're kind of trying to slip this by because, look, I know some of you indicated that you did see those signs, but they weren't really putting those signs out till a couple of people sounded the alarm and kind of called the mayor's hand on it over there, and the town council and all that.
Now, David Womack raises a really great point. David Womack says the city's growing too fast, and they may be trying to slow it down by raising taxes.
Well, that's an interesting concept.
Well, he very well could be on the mark. But
they're trying to slow it down for 15 years.
Here's the thought. Quit issuing building permits to build new subdivisions.
Oh, gosh.
But who does that?
Right.
It's not the town of Haughton, the police jury. Right?
Yeah.
Ain't they got their hands all in that, and the MPC and all them people? Ain't they the ones that do all that?
Of course. And let me stop you for a second because we got a good comment. So Carrie H. Waldron says we'll put a stop to new construction of homes, not just of homes, businesses. Remember, businesses typically pay more of the property taxes in most areas than residential because they're getting taxed on everything.
And oh, by the way,
inventory and all.
And oh, by the way, when you do this, what about all the older folks that are retired on a fixed income? You're basically just putting the screws to them because some of them, they can't afford this tax increase. Yeah. Are you trying to force them out? Is that what you're trying to do?
Trying to force Granny Smith and her walker out on the streets, what they're trying to do in Haughton right now. Trying to force Granny out.
I mean, there's
So what can let's wrap this up. So what can everybody do about this tax? What can the average person watching do to help affect this?
Obviously, your Haughton Town Council or mayor and council, I don't know which, but they're organized to, get this vote passed. They've got their city attorney you know, spending money with a PAC. So you're probably going to get mail pieces telling you how great it is and that you should support. You're a horrible person if you don't support your police and fire. You know, you're a horrible person if you turn your back on public safety. But, you know, there probably needs to be a little bit more introspection on this thing, discussion, thought, talk, and you know, look, I I was a fireman. I've supported increases for other departments. You know, the Benton deal, 100% increase, and the second highest. I got to tell you that
That's a little
makes me
much to
stop.
stomach.
That seems like a little much to stomach, and especially when you've got other problems, you know, in your city.
Yes, it does. All right. So, any questions about the Haughton Tax? And we'll probably mention it again next show because that'll still be before it's time to go vote on it. And look, let everybody know it's on the ballot. Go vote and vote no. Unless you support it, unless you want to double your tax, you know, your property taxes, and that's fine if you do. But remember, at least go vote. Yes or no. All right. Let me see if I can get the good doctor on. Let's see, he says. All right, yeah, that'll be interesting. Let me set this up. I'm going to have the good doctor call in. So let me send him a text message. Tell him about ready. Let me get everything set up on my end. So, Duke, if you want to kind of ramble on for a minute, that's fine too.
Yeah, so I see a lot of folks in the comments texting and messaging different folks to tune into the show and watch. And hey, you know, wanted to remind a lot of you that if you can't watch it live, I mean, you can go and watch it on YouTube later. I mean, of course, Facebook as well too. And you know, comment at that time. It will post the comments up at the time, you know, where everybody else's comments are populating in there as well too. And of course, we're actually broadcasting via podcast. So if you're going on a trip, you want to just plug it in and listen to it in your radio and hear what we were saying, and or throw a rock at us and say, "You idiots, you don't know what you're talking about. Your information is wrong." Well, we appreciate those comments as well too.
Yeah,
And
we do.
something that we haven't promoted in a while, and we need to get back to promoting, is uh, proton mail. You know,
Yes.
a lot of folks, you know, a lot of things that we learn and we kind of go after and start researching and trying to get to the bottom of are via anonymous tips. You know, people know things. A lot of people are fearful about going public. They don't want to say something publicly, but you know, there's a way you know something and pass that information on. And you can create a Proton mail account. And Rex, technically, the government can't get in it, right?
That is correct, as long as, yeah, they can't get in unless you use a weak password when you create it. So make sure you don't put any identifying information in it. Use a strong password because not even the Proton Mail people can read that. It's fully encrypted end to end. So that's very important. Now, I just sent the good doctor our call-in phone number. Let me make sure I sent him the right number.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
it.
helpful.
And
Yeah,
I gotta
so
make
like
sure we can do that.
when people send us Proton mail stuff, we don't even know, you know, who it is unless they
Right.
identify themselves. I mean, we've got no clue.
Right, that is correct. Okay, so we're kind of waiting on the good doctor to call us here, and hopefully that'll be any minute now.
So so for everybody else watching the show, and while we're pausing just a hair, Rex, so we put off last week. We were going to talk about, you know, Bossier City had the water workshop, and you know, since we've learned a little bit more on that subject, and I'm thinking that we're going to try to put a special show together on Thursday to cover that topic. Are we still going to do that?
Oh, hold on, there's the good doctor. Let's answer it. Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, let me get everything kind of set on this end. Let's make sure the audio sounds good. Everybody watching, can y'all make sure and let us know, does the audio sound good when Dr. Snyder says hello to everybody?
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Dr. Snyder. Duke Lowry here. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you tonight?
Great, great, great. Glad you could make it on the show. I got to tell you, a hat tip to you. You have been, you know, stepping up when a lot of people don't step up. You have been step up, and I personally appreciate it. And I know a lot of the folks watching the show right now. I mean, we're clicking along about 70 to 80 live viewers across a couple of different platforms. So just, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, so I'm gonna see if I can pull up this post, but why don't you that you made about Uma the dog? But Dr. Snyder, why don't you kind of set this up for us? You know, what happened with Uma the dog? What you know? How did you come across this dog? How did you get introduced to her?
Well, it's kind of funny how it started out, and I can't really explain why it happened the way it did with me, talking to animal control here the last several months, and to our city leaders trying to get some information and initiate some change with the stray dog policy. And I was pretty much had hit a lot of roadblocks and I was about to give up on that end of it, actually. And then on Wednesday, Bossier Animal Control brought Uma in to be euthanized. And so, which is not something that is uncommon whenever you have a sick animal, or they don't currently have a euthanasia technician there, because Sherry Wood, I think, was the one that was their technician, and she has been let go. So anyways, Uma was there, and I glanced at the paperwork to see what was going on with her, and I'm getting ready to walk out for lunch, and I saw that she needed to be put to sleep, and that they said that, and the paperwork said she had just been presented to animal control by the Bossier Parish Sheriff's Office today, the day that they brought her to me. And actually, just a few minutes before they brought her to me is what the paperwork indicated. So
Wow.
I looked at that, and I'd been going through their policies, and animals are supposed to have a 72-hour stray hold, so I couldn't understand why she was already there. Mm-hmm. So I went out and looked at Uma, and she had several bite wounds on her, and some injuries, but nothing that was life-threatening and nothing that was real debilitating. But oftentimes strays do present that way. So I stopped and I called animal control and asked them, ask them about Uma. When did she come in? They confirmed that she had just been presented today, which was Wednesday. And I said, well, why is she not going to get her 72-hour stray hold? And they told me it was because she was in such severe discomfort and distress. And I said, well, I've looked at her, and I don't share that opinion. In my opinion, she's good enough to have her 72-hour stray hold. So I'm going to decline to. And the person that I spoke with said, well, you need to talk to my supervisor. And I did, and they gave me the same information. Well, long story short, I declined to do it, and they came back and picked her up. So they gave me the name of the person who is currently the director of the animal control, and I tried to call that person, left a message, and I knew it was a time-sensitive matter, so I went ahead and called the mayor's office. And I did get a hold of somebody at the mayor's office, the receptionist, and told them who it was and what my concerns were, and then a representative from the mayor's office called me back, and I spoke with her about Uma and discussed her and told her, what my opinion was on her situation, and that she should get her 72-hour stray hold, in my opinion. And they disagreed with me. And we spoke about several things, but long story short, they disagreed with my opinion. So that's how she came to be in my office.
Okay, and we just lost Duke, so we'll try to get him back here in just a second. Let's see. Okay, he said he'll be back in a minute or two. So, all right, we sent a public information request email over to the mayor's office and to the city attorney, but I carbon copied like almost everybody on it, and wanted to get all the correspondence and information concerning this dog. Now, by law, open meeting law, government bodies or government entities have 3 days to respond to that email. Now, they could respond just so you know, Dr. Snyder, and everybody else watching, in case you don't know, they could respond back with, well, we need more time to gather the information, but they have to respond within 3 days. Well, it's been, what, 4 days now, I think? And, well, pretty much crickets. So,
Right.
I think that's an interesting tidbit. Now, so what ended up happening to Uma?
Well, I called to check on her the next day, which would have been Thursday, in the morning, just to let them know that we were interested in adopting her after her stray hold was complete. And we could not get any information. We were told they couldn't give us any information on Uma and that she was not going to be available for adoption. And I said, well, we know she's not available for adoption currently because she's on stray hold, but when that's completed, we would like to do that. And they said they couldn't give us any information. So I actually physically went to the animal control at lunchtime to try to get some answers and received the same information. And at that point, I was under the assumption that she's probably already been euthanized. So what I did at that point was I started contacting all those that may have been able to provide that service for the animal control to see if anybody had done that. Which the next morning I did get information back that that had been done, that she had been euthanized, and the individuals that did that, it is that I want to say this: it's not their fault. Okay, they had no idea what was going on with Uma. If she came to my place and I hadn't been dealing with animal control the way that the things that I've been going through with them, it wouldn't have perked my interest either to look at the paperwork and examine everything. So that individual, in my opinion, did nothing wrong. So I just want everybody to know that, so that if that information ever does come out, that it's not an issue for them.
Well,
but yes,
and
she
I
was euthanized on. She was
I-
euthanized on the very same day that she was at my clinic, on Wednesday,
so
within a couple hours after she left.
all right, now clarify for me, because I'm kind of new into this animal control. I mean, we have 2 dogs of our own and love our dogs and all that, but I'm new into this animal control deal, and what goes on with it. So, what is the procedure supposed to be?
Well, if you look at their current policies and procedures, the procedure is supposed to be that if they pick up a stray animal, they are supposed to hold that animal for 72 hours in order to let the owner or potential owner of that particular animal have a chance to locate it.
And you're saying that they did this the same day? Like, wasn't it within few hours? And I know I'm maybe kind of rehashing some of this, but it was
right.
A few hours?
Well, she came in to the animal control sometime after they opened at 8 o'clock. She was at my place. The paperwork that they processed her with said 12/23 on it. I don't know how long she was there before they processed her. They brought that paperwork with her to me. She was in my place by 12:30. I kind of evaluated everything, made some phone calls. She left my place by about 1:30, 1:45, and then by let's see what they tell me. Probably within 2 hours after leaving my place, she was presented at 3:30. She went to the second facility and was euthanized.
All right,
so yes, all in the same day.
So that begs the obvious question of why. Why would they do this? Because they should know that they were not going to get good publicity off of this. There was going to be bad PR.
Well, I mean, and I've spoken. Yeah, I agree with that. And the reason I initially assumed was the reason is because they're full, and they didn't want to make room for Uma to have her 72 hours. And that was the primary problem that I started working with months ago, that animal control can't be full. I mean, we have to have space available for strays to come in and be processed according to the policies. And that's not currently happening. Now let me go ahead and tell you that all of what's been going on, and I'm gonna be very honest with you. Getting on the internet and raising a bunch of fuss is not the way that I preferred to do things.
Right.
I have been trying to work through the channels, and I have not been have made no headway. And so this being such a time sensitive matter kind of pushed me into what I did over the last week.
Yeah, and I
Which,
want to say that you did not reach out to us. We reached out to you via comment, that if you wanted to come on the show and explain it, or explain the situation, you could. So I want to verify that for everybody watching also, that you didn't reach out to us and try to stir the pot.
Right. So, but I did stir the pot. I mean, I stirred the pot with all of those posts, and I knew it would, but I felt like I had no choice with the responses or lack of responses that I had received from the city over the last several months. And this being such a time sensitive matter, I thought if we had a chance to potentially to get Uma her 72 hours, it needed to happen now. And so that's why I put all that on the internet. So having said all of that, I will tell you that I have talked to more city officials in the last 2 days than I did in the last 6 months.
Oh, good.
And I think that there's going to be some progress made, and I'm going to be cautiously optimistic, but I really feel like that maybe some change is going to happen. And the director of animal control has been let go, and apparently maybe that was a big source of some of the issues. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I have talked to a councilman, I have talked to a representative from the mayor's office, and I've talked to a police juror. And I'm not going to name any names, but they're all working on different aspects to what's going on, and I think we're going to see some progress.
Well, I'm sharing, I don't know if you're watching the screen right now or not on the phone call, but I'm sharing a comment by Bossier City Councilman Chris Smith, who we're generally a pretty good fan of. And his response to one of the comments was, I feel pretty confident when Dr. Snyder mentions 2 city councilmen as post, I am one of the 2 he's referring to. Him and I have spoken several times over the last few months about all the issues. I've brought these issues to the mayor. I personally don't think it's important to him, but I'm working on it as hard as I can. I also want to let our viewers know that when I emailed the public information request to the city, I also carbon copied our city councilmen, most of them anyway, including Brian Hammonds. Brian Hammonds responded back in the email chain, said, could we please get the public information requests done for the people or groups that are requesting them? I'm getting calls every day from different people that put in public information requests, and they get no response back from City Hall. Now, that was sent to the city attorney. It was sent to the mayor's office. It was sent to, former public information officer now, Aaron Buchanan, as well as some others. And then just so you know, I sent, as Bossier Watch, a response back to the mayor's office today, because now we're on the 4th day, and they've got, like I said, 3 days legally to send some kind of response, and they've not done it yet. Hopefully, you'll be able to get some progress made.
Right, and it sounds like to me that there will be. I think watch the next city council meeting. I've been told that there's going to be some ordinances introduced that are relating to the animal issues, and I think Mr. Councilman Smith has written one, and I'll let y'all investigate that. He gave me some information about it, but I'm sure I can't do it justice. But they're working on some of those things, which is definitely a step in the right direction.
All right, so let me ask you, and Duke, feel free to chime in.
Well, I do have one question. So going back to Uma, I mean, and putting that to sleep, they brought it to you and you didn't do it, and I'm assuming that they brought it to you because you legally can do it. Was Uma put to sleep illegally?
There's differences of if Uma was at a point where we felt like, say for instance, let me give you a different scenario, a different dog. All right, we got a dog that comes into animal control, has been run over by a car. It's got a broken back. It's got injuries that are so severe, and it's in such discomfort that we need to euthanize it for humane reasons. Okay.
Right.
And that would be a cut and dry situation. That dog right there, there's no question it needs to be euthanized. If they would have brought a dog like that to me, I would have put it to sleep. Okay. To end its pain and suffering. That's what I would have done. In my opinion, Uma didn't fit that situation. Okay. Since I've spoken with these representatives, there's been others, veterinarians, that I've been told that had a different opinion on Uma than I did. I'm not sure they actually had hands on Uma, but they had a different opinion. There was a veterinary technician that had a different opinion. So that legally, whether she was put to sleep, I can't answer that. Do I feel like she had to be put to sleep before her 72 hours? I certainly do not. Do others maybe have a different opinion than me? Apparently they do. So I can't argue that, okay? But I've expressed to this individual that if it was somebody's personal dog, then the storm that's going on right now would be minimal compared to what would have actually happened. And that's what I'm trying to initiate change for, is to make sure that we don't just routinely do this. I mean, I don't feel like she needed to be put to sleep. Maybe others did. But the one positive that's coming out of it is that we're talking about it. It sounds like there's going to be some more cooperation between the animal control and the citizens and different groups in the community, which would be great for animal control and the community and the animals. It'll be a win-win-win situation. So if that happens, at least it wasn't all for naught.
Oh, Susan Fant Votal, and again, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, had a comment. She says they get $72.50 per dog brought in. In your opinion, and if you don't want to give your opinion, that's fine too. Just let me know. But in your opinion, is this about money? I mean, or is it just about lack of space or lack of resources?
In my opinion, it's probably not about money. At least not Uma's case. My opinion, what happened with Uma is that they saw this dog come in and they didn't have space for her because they would have had to move one of the other dogs that has been there for an extended period out. And so what animal control had gotten into is that they're not getting enough adopted out to make space. And they've got animals that have been there years. Okay. And all these issues are coming to light now, or at least I've been told they're coming to light to the people that need to know about those, and they're being addressed. And I know I've been told that before, but I just am cautiously optimistic that actually we're moving in the right direction.
Well, we're accused of sometimes only bringing negative things to light about Bossier, but, we're amateur journalists, and, well, that's what we do, is talk about this kind of stuff.
Right.
But I would hope that on a positive note, maybe you're correct that some positive things will happen, at least with animal control. Do you know what their policy or protocol is on the rotation of the dogs? So, because it just seems to me on its face that they should have, if they had just received Uma, she should have gotten into a time rotation. And I hate to say it, but a dog that had been there much longer and maybe over the 72-hour period should have, I hate to put it this way, but been rotated out.
Exactly. And that's an unfortunate, it's a reality. You have to have space for the ones that come in. Right. That's where this all started months ago, is that they're saying there's no space, and they're telling me, the people that I speak with now, that they're initiating things that should help improve that part of it, and that the individuals that maybe were running or in charge of running the animal control had had gotten to the point where they weren't willing to make the room. They weren't willing to work with. I feel like they're not. The way you can make room is working with the rescues. I mean, that are in the area, and they're trying to help. And for some reason, it just seems like they did. You know, the animal control does not want to communicate with the rescues or cooperate. And we can certainly get a lot more done if we all work together on the same project instead of working against each other.
And several people are commenting about different rescues and resources and all that. Hopefully, we hope our viewers help support those, and so the animal control can work with them and all that to try to find places or find homes for these dogs and cats or whatever.
Well, it's never going to be a perfect world. There's always going to be some animals that have to be euthanized, unfortunately, because of the population issue. There's several different facets that have to be worked on to try to help. You got to help the population issue so we don't have as many trying to get into the animal control or as many strays that they need to take in. We need to do a better job of getting them networked and adopted out. Unfortunately, some of them are going to have to be euthanized. Unfortunately, some of them are going to come in so debilitated that they need to be euthanized quickly if they're in a state of suffering. The issue was with Uma is, in my opinion, she wasn't. We've been dealing with all the other issues, and I felt like it was time to take a stand and say, why are we doing things the way we're doing?
All right, so I've got one last question for you. And then I think Duke probably has another comment or question, but what can the average viewer or watcher watching the show do to help with the situation with the Bossier Animal Control? Can they contact their city councilman, contact the mayor? Do they need to donate to the Bossier Animal Control Fund? I mean, what in your opinion can they do to help out?
If they're able to, what they can do, if they have funds to donate, if they're able to donate their time or money, whenever that's an option again at animal control, to donate to the rescues, to try to help the rescues, to discourage people from being backyard breeders and help with the population problem. There's so many different ways and so many different things that we need to get organized in order to tackle the problem. And even with all of that, it's still going to be a problem. We just have to try to work together to minimize that problem. And we got to be able to get the strays off the street, though, because they have nobody to speak for them. Okay, if we got dogs being run over by cars, we're going to have a citizen that's going to wreck their car. Probably already happened, trying to miss a dog. We're going to have somebody walking down the street with their child in a stroller, and we're going to have a stray come up and maul the child. Something bad's going to happen if we don't handle the stray population, and they can pass diseases. They're not vaccinated against rabies. We've been fortunate not to have any significant rabies outbreaks in our area, but that's not going to remain the same if we don't handle our stray population better.
Hey, Duke, did you have anything you wanted to add, or?
No, you guys were knocking it out of the park. I mean, I'm glad to hear from Dr. Snyder that he, because look, I mean, Dr. Snyder, again, hat tip to you. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I know that you have been weighed in on this issue even before Uma, sending countless emails, identifying, obviously that we have a disconnect in our animal control services, arguably in the parish and the city. And, good job, stepping up to try to, get some light shined on the subject and get the problems addressed. Unfortunately, it's taken an instant, I guess, like this with Uma to finally, get our elected officials moving. And you're right. I can tell you, had it been one of my dogs, man, this would sure be a whole lot worse than what it is right now. Definitely.
Yeah, and I want to just relay some information. that I've got today. I got a lot of new information today about what's going on in the back room, so to speak, or in the back channels, getting things taken care of. But apparently, there's been some things in the works. This is what I've been told, that Mayor Chandler is definitely working or involved in some of these improvements that I've mentioned to you, and they're going to come to light supposedly here in the next week or two at a council meeting. And these are things that didn't just happen since UMA, but I think a lot of the public opinion and pressure that's been put out there, and I don't like doing it that way, but I think it's helped stimulate some of the other things and other people to realize we have an issue and to start thinking about it more.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with him. We really appreciate you coming on the show and spending your time, with us this evening, and just being, blunt and honest about the situation with UMA and what went on. So we can't thank you enough. And you're welcome to come back on the show anytime if you've got an issue or something you need, to bring to light that we can help with. We welcome you back anytime.
Well, and I sure appreciate that y'all shedding light on everything, and let's not just drop it though. Let's keep our eyes open and make sure that watch what's going on and see if they continue to progress like they had indicated to me that they have. I mean, before today, I was still hopping mad. Okay, and they've cooled me down a little bit by telling me some of the things that they're proposing and that will be coming to light in the next week or two. But we need to not. We can't take things just at face value. We need to continue to watch.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you for being on and giving out some great information. It was an unfortunate circumstance. And again, you're welcome back anytime. Thank you, Dr. Snyder.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Well, good deal. I'm glad we was able to get the doc on to kind of talk about that situation. And
yeah, that worked out well. And again, my apologies for not seeing the comment where he had responded earlier. We could have made that a little bit smoother, but he did great and gave out some great information and lots of good comments and positive comments about Dr. Snyder too as well. So we thank all the watchers for those comments.
Well, and encouraging that. Look, I take Bo to the office with me every day, and I let him out in the backyard at the office to go use the bathroom. If he was to run off, and as it stands right now, good Lord, if Tommy Chandler got my dog over there and sent him to the chopping block within a few hours, I don't know, man. I'm gonna tell you, dude, it'd be bad.
Might be time to go to the gravel.
I may be going to Plain Dealer and making bologna sandwiches up there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Ooh.
Well, I can't say that I blame you. And, look, in all fairness to Tommy, again, I'm trying to spin a little positive on Tommy since he signed the Bossier term limits deal.
Wait a minute. Was I being insensitive?
Well, no, not really. You were just stating what would happen. And apparently...
Well, no, should I have said ham sandwiches?
Oh, well, instead of bologna. I don't know. What's politically correct these days? But
I don't know.
But wait, you interrupted me. I was trying to be
positive.
I'm sorry. I was trying to be positive towards Tommy one more time. So because he signed the Bossier term limits, and that's some common ground with us, hopefully he is putting forward and trying to work behind the scenes to get some things done to get Bossier Animal Control back under the reins that they need to be under, because it's obviously a problem. We get too many comments about Bossier Animal Control. I mean, too many, and not from the same people all the time. All right, that was a long comment.
Pause for Life just made a long and look, they just made a long post right there in the comments, and Shannon Coleman and so many more local rescues. We have a transport every week saving 350 dogs and cats a month. Pause for Life team met with Tommy Chandler, Bossier City Mayor, and Amanda Nottingham, CAO, for several hours to discuss shelter best practices and hiring a veterinarian, certified vet tech, and qualified employees. Sadly, they just repeated decades of mismanagement.
Not looking good for the home team, is it?
Well, if Dr. Snyder's information is correct, and look, I mean, he's been out there on the front, he's been advocating, and for the animals, and if he feels confident by what he was told by I guess working the room, as someone else said in the comments, of the politicians and what they're telling him they've been working on, Tommy Chandler, Chris Smith. If that's the case and that does come to fruition, who knows? It maybe it will be the long-term solution. I know that for years we have had problems, supposedly, of our animal control system going back and forth, like being fluid. It's working and then it's not working. It's working and then it's not working. Um, I don't know.
We'll have to see. I won't hold my breath too long because, well, I might run out of oxygen. But maybe something positive will get done. All right.
Hey! Shannon Coleman said no, not insensitive at all. I mean, look. Hey, remember them bologna sandwiches when you would take and you'd fry them up in the skillet and then you'd slap a big
Hey,
old slather
I
of
love,
cheese on it as a
yeah, I
kid?
love
You remember
fried,
that?
yeah, look, I still do it as an adult. Although some people might say I'm a big overgrown kid most of the time, but hey, that's good stuff.
I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. But I remember how good it was as a kid.
Yeah. All right. So what is next on our agenda?
Well, if you live out in that area between H-Town and Bossier City, you may have had a little problem with your water here recently. Did anybody hear about that?
Yeah, I mean, there were a bunch of comments about it, and I guess now, folks, y'all correct me where I may be wrong, or Duke, you too. Am I understanding correctly that the people running that water system, the staff, walked out the other day or a week or two ago, or what? What's the deal?
No, no, sir. No, sir. Let me make a correction there.
Okay.
According to my sources, they did not walk out.
Oh,
That is an incorrect description of what took place.
really?
And I'm going to also, there's a portion of this segment of what we're going to talk about with this water that kind of goes back to the animal control stuff. And you're going to be like, how in the heck can he connect the water outage, in the village water system and dealing with the police jury and animal control? But there is a connection there, and I'll when we get to that point, I'm gonna articulate that.
Very
So,
interesting.
a couple of shows ago, we had Jeff Sadow on, and we coined the name of that show. We called it Lawless. Remember
Hmm.
that?
Yes.
And he articulated how the police jury has been and gave examples, of how they have been lawless. And his article today talking about the library, he still, said that they were being lawless. Um, so since that show, Rex, the police jury, I hear rumor that they blocked a couple of people from their Facebook page and stuff.
Like blocked individuals?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Or
Huh.
prevented them from
Shame.
commenting and all that. It
Well, did
do
they
you know
just,
do you know somebody?
um, they probably blocked us.
Well, I think that they did, but you told me that. See, you are tired. I can tell. You've been fishing too much.
Yeah,
You
it's
gotta
been a long day.
give the fish a
But,
break.
yeah.
But look, I wanted to let you know that they weren't just picking on you and I in Bossier Watch.
Really? They're
If
picking
you
on
go
everybody now?
if you go to the police jury Facebook page, nobody can comment. They took them all off. Nobody.
Well,
And
that's
everybody
one
watching
way
the
to solve the
show.
problem.
That's right. You got a complaint. You can't complain. You can't go in there and say anything.
Let's see. Ashley Bullock says Rex's BFF blocked him. Aw. And she also says, isn't that illegal? Well, not really if they block everyone. And government bodies can generally block people that are obvious trolls, that aren't adding to the conversation. They're not supposed to be able to block people or block commentary or speech, for that matter, of people that disagree with them. Now, there have been this whole thing actually started during the Trump era when the Trump administration blocked some folks on Twitter. And there was, of course, lawsuits filed, and it went through some district courts. And, the courts then, and I'm probably not putting this out there correctly, but anyway, several of the courts ruled that no, the Trump administration can't do that. They can't block, except under a very narrow set of circumstances. Then it reached the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court actually kind of reversed that ruling. But by the time it happened, by the time that ruling came down, Trump was already out of office. And so the ruling was specifically for the Trump administration. And so it kind of, I don't know, it's a ruling in limbo. If we have some legal experts out there that want to look into that. So it's honestly, Ashley, it's in limbo. I don't know.
So where is Mark Smith when we need him so he can use those big words like articulate, as David Womack quoted me as saying?
Yes.
But so let's fast forward to the most recent police jury debacle. There you go, David Womack, using some of them Haughton words. Yeah. The village water system takeover.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about the village people and getting water to the village people. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously the way the police jury views everybody out there is the village people, but, the village water system takeover. So the parish has been on this hell-bent mission to take over any water and sewer that they can, feasibly get their hands on. Arguably because they're upside down in their, hostile takeover or plan to take over everything liquid and liquidy substance, I guess you could say. And they didn't charge enough money for what they've already done and, are arguably upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before you can completely understand what all took place out here, you got to kind of understand the structure of the system out there. And, you've got a water system, lots of people that live out here in this area. And you've got members who are the people that consume the water. They pay their bill. You've got a board. All the members vote. They have this board that makes the managerial decisions. And then you've got all the employees, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the parish approaches the village water system and says, hey, we want to take over your water system. And one of the reasons why they arguably or is said to want to take over it, because the village water system is the key and or the link to other water systems. To get the other ones, they got to get this one.
Mm-hmm.
So a merger was proposed, and I have it up sharing the screen, cut to, and we'll go 2, 3, and 4, and I can scroll through them. But a proposal was put out, and this was from the village water system in October of 2016. I think this letter went out on October the 6th, and it was basically just saying that I know I'm probably making everybody sick there. But anyway, but just basically saying that the board feels like that this is in the best interest of the water system because they've got some, capital construction problems that they needed to attend to, and that allowing the parish to take over it, they'd have more resources, aka meaning more taxpayers spread out all across the parish to pay for those improvements, rather than, this system having to increase rates to be able to pay for that infrastructure construction. Makes sense, right?
Right. Well, I mean, what's wrong with that?
Well, and so then they have, this little fact sheet. And one of the things was there's a lot of people that are in the system that say, they said that all the employees would stay, nothing was going to change there, that our rates wasn't going to go up or not, but I can tell you in here, they in the letter they sent out, it said actually that the rates were going to be whatever the water district rates were. That was what the rates were going to be. So I don't feel like they were kind of being sneaky there, but obviously there were some problems. And included in that was a fact sheet, but included in that sheet, and here's where it kind of gets murky, there was a proxy for all of the members, whether they were in favor or they were against. Now, again, this thing went out on October the 6th, and they were having their meeting that this had to be in by October the 18th. So they gave everybody like 12 days to respond, right?
Right. Okay.
Well, interestingly, do you know who sent out this survey to all the members of the district?
Actually, no, I don't.
Travis Morehart. Didn't we just hear that name
What?
earlier?
I thought he was a CPA of ill repute. I mean,
Where is
well,
he not?
whatever.
Where what is he?
Whatever.
Where what is he not the CPA of?
Yeah, he's everywhere. He's everywhere.
Hey, there's possible future mayoral candidate Lisa Bungee Jump Johnson.
Yes. Let's she just
She
she put plus or minus or minus or
yeah,
plus.
yeah. She's gonna bungee jump with us. One way
Yeah.
or the other. It's happening. So legally or illegally, we're gonna do
Yeah.
it.
One or the other.
Anyway, so all these letters went out. They gave everybody 12 days. And, Morehart and them were doing the handling the voting, I guess. And then I guess everybody could have showed up at the meeting. But there's said to be approximately 3,000 members of this water district. And I'm going to speed up a little bit and get through this because this stuff is kind of boring. I gotta admit, but it's probably not boring for the people who lost all their water and everything. And now
Right.
they probably care a whole lot. So they had this meeting. The votes were counted, and I think I can go right there to cut 5. These were the results. The results were 366 people were in favor of the merger, 117 were against, and 12 proxies for whatever reason they didn't count them. Don't know the why on that.
Okay.
So the board, based on that, moved forward with the merger. And so fast forward to December of 2022. All the employees out there, now this is an important point for everybody. All the employees out there gave notice.
So they didn't just up and walk out.
In December of 2022, they all gave notice that, to the board and to the police jury that if everything wasn't, managed correctly or done what was told to them or how it was done, or that they saw that they were endangering the water district or whatever, that they were all going to, walk out and quit. They were going to stay on. So long as everything was going the way it should go, they were all going to stay on. But if anything got sideways, they gave them notice that they were going to walk out. So, as from what I understand, things trucked along. And, here we are. We're right now in March. And, so December, January, February, everything's rocking along good. And bam, we got a problem. So what was the problem? That all of the employees exercised, their notice that they would potentially leave. What happened to cause them all to do that? Well, what is alleged to have happened is that AKA Butch the Hatchet Man Ford told all of them, said, not only do we not need you, we're going to run this system better than you run it.
Yeah. Okay.
So they all summarily wrote their resignations out, finished the day, and all went home. They left. They quit. They cleaned up the
Yeah.
offices, wrote their resignations. It was a Friday when this supposedly took place.
Mhm.
They wrote their resignations, did their duties for the rest of the day. They cleaned up the office and they left. They turned in their equipment and all that stuff. Now, listen to that word. They turned in their equipment. So that's an important point.
Right.
Oh, I lost myself in the notes here. So that Friday, you know, and going into the weekend, apparently, you know, is when the problem happened. And I'll let you click on that video and show that link. Doug Warner, you know, Friday happened. And then by Monday, we've got this problem. Things are crashing. And Doug Warner had an interview with, you know, Butch the Hatchet Man Ford. And Butch's comments were pretty telling.
Let me get that queued up and we'll let everybody listen. Let's see here. Let me pause that for a second. Let me get everything set up on our end. And share screen. Oh, that would not be the right one. Let's see. Hold on, Duke. Bear with me. You know, this live stuff here. You'd think I'd be used to it now.
You obviously caught too many fish.
Or not enough, as the case may be. Okay, so here is Mr. Doug Warner. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Bear with us, folks. Okay, here we go. Let's see. I've got to unmute that, bring that level up, and here we go. Oh, gotta unmute that too. All right, here we go. Why do we not
No
have
audio.
Why do we not have audio? Anyway.
Well, long and story short, Butch Ford suggests that and Doug Warner redirects. He suggests that something or somebody did something to cause the system to fail. And Doug Warner redirects and says, you called the sheriff's office, so you believe that this may have been terrorism or something, you know.
Nefarious is the word I think they used. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Working on it. It's gonna be a few. Let me switch screens. Hold on just a second. Switch screens again. All right, here we go. So let's hear him actually say it. A few more hours before they get it fixed.
You're saying the water computer system crashed, and you're so concerned and worried about it that you actually called the sheriff's office to look into it?
When I got to their office and looked at it, I immediately notified the sheriff's department that something had shut the system down. It's a computer program, and I've met with them, and we're getting them some more information so they can help us look into it.
So you're concerned it could have been an intrusion from the outside?
Yes, it could have been. I asked the guy if he'd ever seen this before, and he said no. So.
Wow.
Well, so he was basically suggesting that somebody did something to cause this thing to fail and did it intentionally. Is that the way you heard it, or did you hear it a little different?
Yeah, he just kind of threw it out there and suggested it. He always or couched his words very carefully there. Well, it could have been this. Well, it could have been Santa Claus too.
Yeah, it could have been. It could have been the Easter Bunny also. I mean, it is April.
So could have been somebody that had their homestead exemption in Caddo Parish and was, obviously employed by the parish against statute. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm deviating from.
Yeah, you are.
What we're talking about. Sorry about that.
I mean, we weren't talking about lawlessness here. I mean, he's calling in the sheriff's office, so he's supporting law and order. But to date, he's neither retracted, or explained exactly what happened to the system and why the system failed. I mean, I've not seen a report. There may be one out there, and there may have been a release, but I've not seen any retraction or anything of that nature.
Good point. In fairness, maybe, and Doug Warner does some great reporting, so this is no slight to Doug Warner. But maybe nobody's done a follow up to see what happened. That could also be the case, or maybe Butch just hasn't said.
Well, I'm wondering, who is the guy that he said, and he had never seen this happen before, or never seen this before.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, surely, with the engineer and you're of a parish like Bossier, you've seen a water line break before. So it begs the question, what exactly did happen? Because I
Right.
think there's a lot of speculation out there, and to some extent, we may be speculating a little bit here. Um, Again, we got to take a step back and understand a little bit about the system itself and the structure of the system. You know, Folks drive through Bossier City, you see the big water towers with the water, up there, and that's a part of the water system. And one of the reasons for you putting it in a water tower is to have pressure. By elevating
Right.
it, you increase the pressure that you put on the system. And, out there is no different. They had the village water system has tanks, but they have something else in there. They have wells out there. And they have a computer system, and Rex, this kind of gets into your neck of the woods, and
Mm-hmm.
they have a computer system called SCADA, SCADA.
Okay.
And this system has alarms. And those alarms, as users out there in the system, they come home on Friday and then Saturday, and they're either watering their lawn or they're taking a shower, they're washing clothes. And as use increases and consumption and they start pulling water out of the tanks, alarms will go off if it's getting low, or
Mm-hmm.
something of that nature, to the people that work the system. Hey, we're getting low on water. And that prompts an action that the employees, need to take. Well, all the employees were told on Friday, not only do we not need you, we're going to run this thing better than you.
Hmm.
They
Really?
wrote their resignations, and they turned in all their equipment. Well, from what sources tell me, the equipment included cell phones, computers, the whole 9 yards.
Hey,
And
and credit to them if you're gonna walk out and drag up and all that. Turn in your stuff. Do it the right way.
that's right. So if the people who would normally respond, to the system getting an emergency signal or saying there's a problem, would have had their phones and still been, I mean, the parish had somebody had arguably, they said they had somebody better to manage the system and they could do a better job. If they had somebody doing it, they should have been able to catch it, right? Because the old guys, you told them to carry their butts, so they don't have their phones to get the notification that there's a problem anymore. They got there no more responsibility on them.
Mm-hmm.
So why, or was there any emergency notification? Was there an emergency notification? I don't know. We don't know.
Who knows?
So
It's an automated system. Surely there was. But
probably was, but
if it went to a cell phone that was sitting on somebody's desk in the office where they laid it down before they walked out, well, that text message does no good.
yeah. So at some point before Monday morning, one of the workers who would have received that emergency notification got a phone call and was asked if he would provide his username and password to the system so that they could
Mm-hmm.
gain access to the system. I'm told he declined to do that, but he did agree to come down there to the office. He comes down there, and upon coming down there, he couldn't access anything.
Well, imagine that.
Imagine that. And so then he went to go into another office, and guess what? There is one of the board members and I'm told a parish IT person is sitting in the other office on the system. They're already in it.
Wait a minute. Go back and say that slowly for the folks in the back.
One of the board members and a parish IT person was in the other office already in the system.
That's interesting. But that's not what he said said happened in the news report. Remember, he alluded to nefarious actions. It could have been the QAnon shaman guy.
But Rex, it still begs the question: what broke the water line? I mean, I seen backhoes. There's no backhoes in the middle of the office. They're not having to dig out all the trash that the employees just piled up in there and left. That didn't happen.
Maybe the computer malfunction got self-aware and decided to blow a water line.
Well, now I will tell you, I had an engineering buddy that I asked about it, and he said, I said, what about water hammer? And he said, I don't really think that's the case. He said, is it possible? Yeah. So I got a theory, and here's my theory. My theory is that they went across the weekend. The system exhausted the water in the tanks. The emergency went out, and nobody was managing the system. The parish took control, said we didn't need you. They took control, and nobody was monitoring it. You're in better hands now, right? Anyway, so nobody's monitoring it. It runs out of water. Well, then somebody realizes, because you're getting probably calls saying, hey, we got low water, no water, whatever. Somebody rushes out there and says, oh, yep, we made a mistake.
Whoops.
They flip the switch on the well, start pumping water into the tanks to build up pressure, and then they flip the valve, and you've already done got low to no water, and all of a sudden all that pressure, bam, in the system when you flip the switch back on, and you got water hammer, and wherever it finds the weakest point, it's going to blow it out, and it blew it out. So
that's plausible. I mean, I'm no water expert or water line expert, but that sounds plausible to me.
So if that in fact would, and it may not be, it probably isn't what happened, but if in fact that is what happened, why did we all of a sudden have to raise the specter of it was something of the former employee or the nefariousness? Why did we go there?
Well, they can't blame themselves.
Well, oh, you mean not claim that we flipped the cruise control switch and went home and went to bed? You're saying, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do that. Can't possibly do that. It must have been, Al Qaeda or Al Qaeda or whatever. I forgot how to say it now.
Well, the thing is this ain't the first time. And again, I said earlier that I was going to make a full circle to animal control and how would it relate to this. Well, this isn't the first time that the police jury has blamed the employees for failures on their part.
Oh, yeah. Well, same song, different dance, same dance, different song, whatever. Yeah. Same song and dance routine.
Well, let me give you an example. What about the library?
Yeah, that's right. Remember when they fired the little old lady?
Fired the little old lady? And what about the lady that was running, McKenty, running the library system? They said that, remember there was several allegations in that deal, as I recall. It was, out of control spending and excessive salaries and all that, when all along it's the police jury's responsibility and they approve the budgets.
They oversee all that. But, I guess the reasoning could be, well, they oversee it, and that's why they had to deal with the problems as they arose. I don't know. Whatever.
Well, and then the little animal control lady, we had her on our show, saying that, her services were no longer needed. And, they were having problems with, she was not sending enough animals, like we were talking about earlier, to Bossier City. For what? So that they could kill them, I mean,
7250.
And it was her fault, right? I don't know. And now I'm going to tell you, Rex, I'm going to jump out here a little bit. I will tell you that there, and you may not have heard it, but there is a whisper campaign against the former. Yeah, there's a whisper campaign.
Interesting. So let's hear this one.
Well, I didn't know that I was going to go all the way with it, but you kind of raised it up. But there is a whisper campaign out there on the streets suggesting that the people that were rescuing the animals were doing something nefarious. Imagine that. Nefarious.
And for those of you that don't know, a whisper campaign is when you use certain operatives to start a narrative and spread it around, but you have plausible deniability in it. Oh, well, that was, no, we didn't say that. But it just somehow magically happens to get put around in all these circles.
Yeah,
Or you do something like Butch did and just drop it out there on the news broadcast that, it could be terrorist.
yeah, and that whisper campaign, the long and short of it, because I know, Judy, who is watching the show, the whisper campaign is that there was profiteering going on off of the sale of dogs and out of the shelters. That is the whisper campaign. But look, you don't have to look to all of these recent events to note that there's a track record on always blaming the employees or that. Let's go back in time a little bit. Let's go back to the Dukesy Scott and the East 80 Fire District. Remember, he was accused of all kinds of nefarious things and using district funds for himself and for his employees and things like that. That goes back all the way. I think it was either 2010 or 2011. Yeah, in fact, I've got a link in the. I got a link. It's the third hyperlink in the thing there.
Let me scroll down. I'll see if I can find it. The one, the KSLA story.
Yeah.
Okay, give me a second. I'll have that up.
But overwhelmingly, the problem is anytime the police jury has something that may come back on them, their response is always to blame the employees. It's always, every single time, it's to blame somebody else for a mistake that they have caused or had a hand in.
Yep, always. Can't blame themselves, All right, so I'm sharing the screen for those of you that are listening or whatever, not necessarily watching the screen. So this is a KSLA news article from back in, when is this? May of 2010? Oh, May of 2011, I'm sorry. May of 2011. And it's Bossier Parish EMS director resigns. You can look it up. And there's Dukesy Scott leaving the Bossier Parish Police Jury after being placed on administrative leave April the 20th of 2011.
Yeah, so I think given the track record of all of this with the police jury and how they dealt with Judy Stewart, I mean, she posted a comment right now. She's saying, what about all the stuff of mine they gave to Bossier? And the fact that Miss Wood, don't know her down there in Bossier, has been summarily let go. Why was she let go, and what was going on that she was let go? Obviously, we're going to need to find out the circumstances there. And because I will tell you that we had I think it was Proton Mail, it may have been one of the other ones, but had reached out and someone had suggested that Miss Wood had been indicted. Don't know if that's true, don't know not, but there, that before we were notified that she was let go, somebody had suggested that. And now we learn for sure, we heard it from Dr. Snyder, it's confirmed that she's gone. She's not down there anymore.
Very
so
interesting.
There's obviously some things going on, but again, with the village water system thing, I find it hard to believe that the employees out there, you had a couple of people, I think one person had been working the village water system to the tune of 29 years. You had another one that was maybe right around 25 or so. And from all indications that I can tell, those folks were loyal to that system. They took care of it as if it was their own. They tried to, and they did their best, only to be come in and told, not only are you not needed, we're going to do a better job than you did. It's kind of a slap in the face. And then for you to put it on cruise control, go to sleep, and it breaks down, and then you're going to suggest something nefarious happened?
Well,
maybe it did. I don't know.
Well, there's always two sides to the story. So there's the side of Butch Ford, and it must have been hackers and terrorists. And
But
then
you
there's
can't,
what really happened.
You can't blame Butch Ford
No,
because
you
you've
can't.
you've
I'm
got
just
police
picking on Butch
jurors.
Ford for a little while.
You've got the police jurors that are enabling this. They let him sit up there. I mean, and look, bottom line is we're homestead exemption shopping. That's what we're doing, So I'm wondering now, are we setting precedents in Bossier where if you want to run for the mayor in City Bossier, if you own a property, you can claim homestead exemption and take a loss just so you can run for mayor in the city of Bossier, or maybe for judge. If you're a lawyer and you're living in Shreveport, you got a piece of property in Bossier Parish, and if you want to run for judge, all you got to do is move your homestead exemption over there, right? So you
Surely,
move your voting record.
surely they wouldn't try something like that, Duke.
I'm wondering what Judge Charles Smith, how he would rule on that.
I mean, that almost sounds like a good old boy network that we have been complaining about now for 3 years on this very show.
But you know what he would do? He would say, Richard Ray, Eric, where are y'all at? Bring me some water bills. Bring me some water bills. My gosh, homestead exemption don't count. I need water bills and get some lady from the city to come drag in her and say, yeah, this amount of consumption on a water bill doesn't reflect what I would normally see on someone's water bill where they were consuming enough water.
Well, it's a never-ending saga and drama. All right. Are we done talking about water, or is there more to go?
Well, because you look like you're about to fall asleep, and you are miles away, I'm just going to keep talking, see how long you can hang in there.
Fall into the mic,
All right, folks, we appreciate y'all watching the show tonight. Rex is going to have to get him more rest, and
well, and so we do have more to talk about the water workshop. To be fair, it's a lot to go through because it's an hour and a half meeting total, and there was a lot of content in there. So we're trying to be very precise and doing some due diligence, and you've done an extensive due diligence on this and digging into it, and we have some interesting things to report. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Duke. They're voting on this water deal. The Bossier City Council is voting on this water deal with the Caddo Bossier Port Commission.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday or this coming up Tuesday, 1 week from today.
Yeah, 1 week from today, this next coming Tuesday, and it'll be the second reading, and for them to move forward on that. And I think we need to have that. We need to have a second show this week, a special on Thursday, like we used to do. Have a show on this subject matter because I think there's some information there that would probably be beneficial to our elected officials that are making that decision. And I always complain that too often government moves too fast, and they don't slow down enough. And I will say I'll give this council on this issue credit that they have kind of tapped the brakes. They have been asking questions, but they still have a few more questions that they need to answer. And I think we're going to be able to shed a little light that may make them tap the brakes a little bit harder. And I'm not saying it's completely, they should be completely against it. I'm not 100% sure, but I do think they need to have a grasp of all the information when making a decision. And for some reason, I don't think they've been given all the information. And that's what we need to have a special show about it. And the public needs to have all the information. Now, granted, I mean, we've got almost 6-7 times right now live viewers of the number of people that were at the council meeting. I mean, it's more than that. I mean,
and these people have been sitting here listening to us ramble on for 2 hours now.
Yeah, but there might have been 2 people in the audience when they were discussing this at that last council meeting, and they
Right.
voted on it.
And we've still got 52 people watching live, and by tomorrow, this will be at 600 or 700 views. So anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, maybe some folks will take some of it and can do something with it, or we'll do something with it. Hopefully, I'll say this show will be primarily for the councilman in Bossier, to look at it and maybe they can glean something from it.
Well, we'll discuss schedules, and we'll definitely release something probably Thursday night, definitely before the council meeting, so everybody will have plenty of time to digest it. Hey, I'd like to mention, of course, our Proton Mail thing. If you have some information you want to share, create a free Proton Mail account, put no identifying information in it. Send us an email to bossierwatch at Proton Mail. We do read those, get a lot of information there. If you'd like a couple of ways you can help, there's a donation button on bossierwatch.com or bossierwatch.org. You can donate if you want to donate a little coffee money or buy one of the cool coffee mugs. You can also give with the Facebook Stars deal. We had a bunch of people, that gave the Facebook Stars. It's like a part of a penny a piece, and it was like $50 or something we got total, but that does pay for the software, or help pay for it anyway, and the cool stuff that we're able to do. So if you don't want to donate and you just want to watch the show and comment, that's fine too, because we're going to keep doing this either way, and we appreciate all the fine sponsors, Pelican Training up here, and Acadiana Mortgage over there, and David Womack, and of course my little outdoor news social media thing, and tech company, and your wife, and for allowing you to do all this. And anyway, we just thank everybody. It's like the Academy Awards. We're thanking everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody. And hey, to the folks in Bossier that are getting the notices for to have a flowback test,
Yes, forgot about that.
We will cover that on Thursday as well too.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. All right. We appreciate everybody watching and everybody commenting and all the interaction. And folks, y'all go over to Bossier Animal Hospital, like and follow Dr. Snyder's page. He was gracious enough to come on and share this information with us. So that's the least you can do, or check out his vet services, and help him out just as a small repayment for bringing this stuff to light. Anyway, and Barry says, sign the petition. Go to bossiertermlimits.com. Sign the petition.
Some of these comments, you guys crack me up. Ryan Haygood, he says, you don't talk to us like we're the peasants. And you don't have your show at 2 p.m.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, Mr. Lowry.
Good night, y'all.
Good night. See y'all later.